Hello, Pisces. How's everybody doing today? First of all, I hope you're having a healthy and happy holiday for everybody that's joining me on the live stream. We're going to be talking a little bit today about the Great Conjunction because this is happening as, we're kind of having this beautiful Christmas star event where Saturn and Jupiter are aligning and creating this beautiful light in the sky. I'm going to put Apollo down so we can focus here. There you go, buddy. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on today. And just a really beautiful kind of energy is permeating the reading, so I can't wait to get started. First and foremost, let me give you a proper introduction. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. As I said, we'll be looking at Pisces. We're also going to be looking at the Great Conjunction and Solstice as well, because all of it is happening for your reading. And sometimes I read the comments and you wish that it would happen earlier. Maybe everything aligns so you could have a really amazing reading today and we could talk about all of this stuff. So I believe the universe conspires sometimes to do things like that. So today is kind of an all-in-one, and everybody's welcome, especially at the beginning portion, because there will be some cosmic sort of discussion, but I'm going to put it through the lens of Pisces. So the beginning portion of my reading is channeled information, things that I get through dreams, meditation, and also through automatic writing. I have all of that kind of laid out in front of me, and we'll talk about that in just a second. After I go into the channeled messages, we'll then take a look at the Celtic Cross and see whatever wants to come up. Basically, I allow the universe to just speak through the cards there. Then I theme the expanded forecast in like 4 major areas: health, wealth, love, and destiny. That way, we can make sure that you're going to get some messages on all of those different aspects of your life. And then after that, we'll go just a little bit deeper into the soul path. We'll do a review, of course, and then we'll go deeper into the soul path and look at 1 or 2 elements that come through this reading that seem especially poignant or important to talk about. And then we'll meditate and look at if there's another card or another message that needs to come through afterwards. We'll do that. So a lot to talk about today, and hopefully a lot of fun for everybody that showed up. It's kind of magical to have this as the last sign reading that I'll be doing. I will be doing a New Year's Eve show. So if you want to show up on the 31st at 9 a.m. Pacific, I'll be here, and I look forward to helping us bring in love and abundance, as well as really just kind of opening up the portal for the new year. So please show up if you'd like to. I know that a lot of us are looking for things to do that day, since there's social distancing going on right now pretty much everywhere. So this is a nice, safe way to start the holiday off. Before I begin the reading, just 2 quick notes. As always, if you would like to show some support, I see I already have someone that did a super chat. It's a great way to give back. If you have never done this before, because this is your first live, then this is where you find the icon. It's right next to the smiley face. And I don't answer questions during the reading, but this does help me continue to upgrade my cards. And I'll be doing some shopping over the holidays, looking for some sales and getting some brand new tarot decks for the new year. All of the expanded forecast decks are courtesy of your contributions. So that, plus actually all these note cards and all of the markers that I use, you guys help me buy these supplies with that. So if you ever wondered, where does that go? That plus just all the costs of doing this. So thank you for continuing to support me, all of you. Okay, let's, oh, by the way, thank you again to my moderators. I appreciate everybody for showing up today, especially working over the holidays. So thank you. Okay, let's get into the messages that came through for your sign today. First of all, like I said, I want to talk about the Great Conjunction. If you happen to be watching this in January, it's okay. The energy of this is still going to be present, especially with planets as big as Saturn and Jupiter moving around. We're all being affected by that. Today, on the live show, when I'm doing this, it's the 21st right now. Tonight, actually, we'll be able to see the 2 planets kind of merge together and create what looks like a Christmas star, if you will, but it's just this beautiful bright spot in the sky. But those 2 planets are pretty, they're pretty impressive in what they do. And I can't remember what sign and what month, but I talked a little bit about this earlier in the year, because I think Jupiter, Mars, and I think Saturn came to me before. So maybe it was a pre-echo of what was going to happen here. Today, we're just going to be talking about those 2 big gas giants. The last time this Great Conjunction happened was a long time ago, 1623. Every 20 years, there is a conjunction of sorts, but Then the next big one is, I think most of us won't be alive. I think it's like 2080 or something like that. So anyway, this is rare. This is cool. This is special today. So this reading is especially important, and I think we're going to have some great energy coming through. So I think this is a portal. Basically, this is opening up a big old portal in the sky, just like something that I would write in a science fiction novel. This is kind of what's coming through. And we'll start with the messages around Saturn, because that's the one I think most people don't want to hear or deal with. So we'll deal with Saturn first. Saturn can be difficult because it really kind of holds us to what we need to be accountable for. And sometimes the lessons, especially when we have our Saturn returns, are difficult. But I think everything in life, everything in astronomy or astrology happens for a reason. And when I was tuning into the message from Saturn, I really saw metamorphosis, kind of like going into that chrysalis stage. But so basically death and rebirth, which has been a theme pretty much prevalent throughout this month as well. But there was a kind of deciding factor. Like, I feel like you get a big choice in what you want to do, what you want to leave behind, and what you want to become. So this is a beautiful time to gently cut the ties between things that you don't feel a connection to anymore, and then get ready to spread those wings. Get ready for the next phase in your life. And I've talked before, if you've ever kind of looked at like if you Google or YouTube do a YouTube search for caterpillar that's going to go into a chrysalis, it's really interesting because sometimes they've already started to form the beginning of what the new creature will look like. And then there's a whole lot of crazy chemistry that happens when they're in that chrysalis, like pretty much becomes a whole new being. So it is like death and rebirth right there. So the key piece to that is that you've already started the metamorphosis under the skin, but it's sort of like we have to reveal. So January for you, which is why this will be relevant even if you're watching it during the month of January after the great conjunction has happened. January for you is the time to spread the wings. So if you're watching live or if you're watching at the beginning of January, then what you want to start to do is make the preparations for how you can get into the next phase of change in your life. One of the lessons that Saturn wanted to bring to you was to forgive yourself and to love yourself unconditionally. I think that's more important than even doing that externally, because it has to start here for it to be, for you to be strong, and also for it to be authentic when and if you decide to also exercise that with other people in your life, I should say. Forgiveness is a key theme here. When we hold on to a grudge, pain, anger, frustration, and we just bottle it in, it doesn't really do much except hurt you. It won't hurt the other person that much. It won't solve the situation that much. And it's going to hold back your growth. When you go into the metamorphosis, the very last thing you want to do is take a bitter feeling in it about you and someone else, or you and something else, or you in the past. This is your time to use your inner alchemist and say, I'm not going to be angry about this anymore. It's not important. Love is the potion that you kind of want to put in there. That's the last thing before you wrap yourself in this cocoon. So forgive, love, release. Otherwise, you're going to hold yourself back, and the wings won't spread as wide, or they won't open at all, because you're pulling within, right? So I would love for you to do that first. Love yourself, forgive yourself, and please try to do that with other people. That's one of the reasons, I've mentioned it a lot, but I had this cool teacher that I'm trying to think what grade it was. It was the 5th grade? No, I'm sorry, it was middle school. It's like 6th grade or something, 6th or 7th grade. I had this cool English teacher that made me read the Christmas Carol and see every single possible version of it. And then we broke it down and all the symbology. But one of the key themes on that was that you can change. Your heart can grow, kind of like the Grinch, right? And also, it was I love the fact that it kind of had this sort of Shakespearean, extraterrestrial, paranormal stuff to it as well, where you're looking at the other side. You're able to change your life by looking at the past, looking at the future, and deciding what to do right now. And also kind of like changing the future a little bit. That's why we show up here. You get to change it a little bit. So it's like the ghosts of Christmas futures with us today, the scary ghost, and that's Saturn. And it's trying to show us what we can be, what we should be, what we need to be doing. And let's listen to it, because that's kind of how it came through. It was like the ghost of Christmas future, like death. But I'm not afraid of that energy. That's usually here to show and reveal. And so love yourself, love others, and then set a course and stick to it. This was the other thing Saturn was communicating, was you've got to stay true to your promises, and you have to kind of like follow through. So follow through and it will be okay. But Saturn will kick you in the butt if you don't follow through. So set that goal and then finish it, and then set another goal and then finish it. The other thing when I think about this, and it really needs to be more divine feminine than divine masculine for this, but find your inner empress. We're dealing with ruling planets here, usually like kings, but I wanted to go to queen energy here because it's important to create. And whenever I've meditated into those planets, there also is growth. There's a little bit more growth in divine feminine in Jupiter, actually, believe it or not. But both of them have that sort of commanding energy. With Empress energy, you can both nurture and rule. And so I feel like that's kind of what you're being challenged to do in the year ahead, is to nurture yourself, set a new course, get everything organized on that, and very much be like, we were talking in Aquarius about Mama Bear. You'll have your Mama Bear energy for that to make it happen, okay? So this is your time to really become that queen, if you will, the Empress, and make something happen. The other thing that I was seeing as I sort of transitioned from Saturn to Jupiter was it was an image that I don't know why, but it's like a cosmic gardener. Like if you're up in the stars, tending to the energy, you reap what you sow. And we're talking about the reaper here, but part of what I see with death is also creation. It's opening the portal. So you reap what you sow. So this is your time to grow and move into new things. What do you want to become? What are you doing to create that growth? How seriously are you taking yourself? These things are going to factor into how quickly this is going to happen for you. Jupiter is here to act as a megaphone or an amplifier for those of you that are musicians. It's going to take what you're thinking and feeling, and it's going to broadcast that on all bands. This is why I want you to go through and get rid of the not so cool stuff, so that when your wings are spread, when your satellite is open, when you're broadcasting on all bands, you are clear, clean, and absolutely in the highest possible frequency. So this time right now, between when this live reading happens and then the beginning of January, because we have lots and lots of energetic opportunities, even the 31st itself, which is why I'm doing a reading that day. This period of time, the next 10 days or so, is your chance to say, I love you, I'm sorry, goodbye, and to kind of like get it all out. Exorcise all of this energy so that you are clear and clean and ready for a new year, for new opportunities, and for a higher, brighter energy. But like I said, if there's anything that you are, particularly when it comes to like old relationships, maybe an ex-lover in your life, maybe a friend that you've fallen out with, maybe someone who you just have things that you want to say, but you're not, let it be a time to elevate the messages, to release anything that you're holding on to. Maybe there's an estrangement between parent and a child where you haven't talked in a while, or you're talking, but it's just these little tiny short messages. This is the time to really kind of like open up the channel, and even if it's to end things, end it on a positive note so that you can begin next year on a positive note too. Okay, so tie up all the loose ends, basically, is what I'm saying, and let bad blood and grudges go, because you want to open up your heart space. If you are holding on to it, what it's actually doing is like the Four of Pentacles. You're going to be tight, and you need to open up this heart area. So if you're holding on, you're holding back, and it's a restrictive energy. So don't hold it in, don't hold back, just let this stuff go. Okay, so Jupiter is basically going to help you. It's all about expansion and growth, new relationships that want to come through, by the way, which we'll talk about a little bit, but it came more into the solstice energy. And then also new opportunities with work and everything. But the healing has to happen for Saturn and Jupiter to kind of help you the way that they need to. Okay. Now, let's talk about solstice. I know I have people watching both in northern and southern. So let's just talk about what solstice does, so I'm not making it specific to one zone. it really changes your perspective because of the amount of light that's happening. It's also extremes. It would be like taking the 9 of cups and putting it upside down or right side up. So for the folks in the southern hemisphere, it's right side up because it's like the longest day. Up here, it's the shortest day. And we're like, when is it going to get better? So it's a changing point. And from this vista, we know that things have to move in a different direction. Then we start to visibly see it. So from December 21st until the next like quarter year, 3-month period until we're almost into spring, we're going to see some visible changes in our life as well as the spectrum of light changes around us. The frequency of energy changes around us. So this is the new cycle, and when I kind of tuned into what, as we move from Jupiter into the solstice energy, it's really about a deepening, a strengthening, and a more important sort of relationship energy that wants to kind of knock on your door. The question is, are you open? Are you ready? And this could be a friendship, it could be a partnership, it could be love, but it feels like people are coming through a lot stronger in the next quarter year. Again, my guides are asking me to ask you this: how deeply do you love yourself, and how highly do you regard yourself? This is what affects what others see around you. It affects your self-worth, and I should say net worth as well. If you can't and or don't love yourself, nobody else is going to be able to do that for you. And it's going to mold the type of partnerships that are going to come through next year in the way that if you don't love yourself, you will pull people in that test you and help you sort of see the things that you don't love so that you can fix them. So work on loving and fixing these pieces of yourself so that as you call in the relationships, it's people on the level and they're celebrating and they're helping you rather than like pushing buttons. So if you're tired of people pushing your buttons, time to kind of dial your own higher self and say, what do I need to do here? How can I fix things? It's not always about the other people. Sometimes it's always about you, but the accountability is hard sometimes. So the more you love yourself, the more you work on yourself, the better your relationships will be. And this is why I'm not always doing your person readings, because you are your person and you're pulling people around you based on how high your energy is. We'll still look at relationships, and relationships want to come through. I just want you to clean up your emotional house to make sure that they're great. Okay. This is another piece of it. So I think it's good to be critical, but I think that if you're overly critical, then you can't see past that. So work and understand your flaws, but don't fixate on them. If you can't see the good in you, then how can others? Put your best foot forward and expect the best. Expect the best of others too. When you hold someone to such a high regard and they make one mistake and they're punished for it, that's not elevated. That's not going to help things. You have to give people a chance to grow, to change. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. You have to give them an open forum sometimes to grow. So let yourself grow, let others grow, assume that you both can get to the best place. Now, if people continue to show up in a lower light and can't kind of get ahead, then that's them showing their truth. But I always, when I try to meet someone, I assume nothing. I'll tune into the energy and I'll say, that's what I feel. Let me see what they're showing. And then if they show what I feel, then I know that that's what's going on. But give people the benefit of the doubt. Just see how they're going to show up. See if they can go beyond their lessons, and that'll help you as well. If you focus on your higher energy, then other people will see the potential. You don't have to be perfect. You can do it, and you will work on this. I actually had a comment the other day with someone saying, you're already perfect. Wrong. We're on this planet to work. Nobody here is perfect. We're divinely created. And in that, yes, there is a sort of perfection in the plan. But we're working on ourselves so that we can learn about ourselves, maybe so that we can discover our divine gifts. Those are perfect. But as human beings, we're working on releasing karma, loving ourselves, helping the planet, learning about how this big, crazy world works. So we're works in progress. That's what I would say. And there's perfection in all the little details. But we're all, until we reach nirvana and we're up there with the ascended masters, no, we're not perfect yet. Nobody here is. And when you start to realize that, you won't get upset if other people make a mistake, and you won't get upset at yourself if you are making mistakes too. You just got to learn from them. That's the main thing. If you're learning from your mistakes, then you're growing. If you're growing, then you're getting closer to that divinity. Perfection's not always the goal. Perfection is maybe a long-term outcome, but this goal is about loving, learning, expanding, respecting, supporting, encouraging. That's what it's about, not perfection. So that'll help out. It's going to be so much easier when you don't expect everyone in your life to be perfect. Your partners, your friends, your boss, your coworkers, the people working for you, because then you're not going to get so angry. You're not going to get so upset. Help them, help yourself and help them, rather than sort of like pushing this energy towards them of whatever it is. So that's going to be, I think, a big way for you to be happier and healthier and more successful. All right, the next thing I saw, I've been looking at weird things with the movement of time, but last night it was almost like when you had a VCR, now we have DVRs, and you just hit the pause button, and then things kind of went a little bit slower. So what my guides were showing me was it's time to slow down and really look around and celebrate every moment, whether it's hanging out with your pets, if you're single like me, hanging out with your children, if you're married, experiencing new love if you just met somebody, if you're single and happy, doing something creative that inspires you. Take a moment, and I named every sort of aspect of where you could be in a relationship, in or out. There's always something beautiful to celebrate. Go outside and smell the fresh air or the snow or the flowers or whatever, like experience something beautiful. So I think that that will help you out, and it's going to help you really be present and really allow for things to happen. All right. I'm reading the comments here. I agree that we're enough for ourselves, but I do want to kind of hit upon the perfection piece, because if you think you're perfect, then it can kind of create weird schisms in how you kind of connect with other people. So just see us all as works in progress. That's what I was kind of getting at with that. Make time for what really matters. Imagine you were in a life review right now. So you and your higher self, you and your angels, you were sitting there and looking at your life. Unless your sole purpose this lifetime is just to understand how to succeed in business, most of us would not be upset if, as we were reviewing our life, we looked back and thought, oh, I missed that meeting. But maybe I missed that meeting so I could be at a friend's birthday party, or I could celebrate a special event in my life, or I could be more present and take care of myself. So there's always time to push back on the smaller things that sometimes people are pulling us away from, just because, like with work and with other people in our life, sometimes they're asking for too much. So I guess what I'm getting at here is set your priorities and have proper limits. And people will take as much as you're willing to give. So make sure that you're also drinking in, taking in the moment, and not working through your life. I had a relative that on his deathbed just sort of said, like, where did the time go? And that woke me up. And I realized that prioritization is really key. And after that, I prioritize like being present. So prioritize, and the universe will start to work with you and bring in situations that are in that priority. Or that prioritization, more compatible energies, better situations where you don't have to compromise what you want to do or who you want to be. And the next thing here, again, this is kind of a piece of this, and then I want to talk a little bit about mythology. Stay awake and don't sleepwalk through your day or through your life. It's too important, and you're too important is the message with this. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about mythology here. When I was writing this, I thought of Orpheus and Eurydice. And Orpheus was a musician, and his wife, Eurydice, she died an untimely death. I think she was bitten by a snake or something in the myth. And but he was such a beautiful musician that he played his lyre. He played his musical instrument. And basically, it was so beautiful that the water nymphs asked him to go down to Hades and Persephone, the king and queen of the underworld, and ask to see if he could get his wife back. So he did that, and he played his beautiful instrument for them as well, sang, and won them over. There was one condition, though. They said, yes, we'll let you bring your wife back to the living, but to the land of the living. But as you exit Hades, you can't look behind you. And so it was a winding sort of corridor getting all the way to the top. Somewhere along the way, he lost faith. He lost hope. He didn't believe that she was there. And at the very end, as he turned over his shoulder, he went to grab her hand, but he looked over his shoulder because he didn't believe she was there, and she disappeared. So the happy thing is that when he died, then he rejoined her in the afterlife. So it's not completely sad. But there is one thing to think about here is you don't want to have fear or uncertainty get in the way of you accomplishing your goals. What Orpheus and Eurydice taught us, and it's sometimes nice to have an unhappy ending because you remember the myth. Trust yourself and don't look back. You already have that which you seek. That's actually the core of this whole long sort of diatribe that I just went down. Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus already had the love that he wanted and everything that he needed right there, kind of like in his back pocket. He just needed to get through the finish line. But there was doubt that came through that made him question, can I do this? Will I do this? Is this here? Is this still happening? So for you, the message is you have what you need. It is here. You can do it. Don't look back. Don't worry about that. And I think that you're going to be on an exciting path in front of you. And the sort of themes of death and rebirth are part of this as well. Second chances. This is also something that I see with the Great Conjunction, with the solstice energy, and also as we're kind of looking at this myth here, is this ability to get something back that you lost. So is there something in your life that you want to reclaim, that you want to rebuild? If so, this is a really good time for you to do that. So I'm going to neatly stack the cards here, and we're going to go into the main card reading. And as I turn the camera down, I'm also going to get a drink of water because I forgot to bring my water glass here, and I'm going to definitely need that as I talk. Anyway, today's a beautiful day. I think that you're going to have, at the end of this reading, the ability to sort of set some priorities, set some foundations for 2021. What I see are shifts, movements, changes, improvements in yourself, and then also in the relationships around you. Okay. So let me get a drink of water, and then we're going to get started on the reading. All right, thanks everybody. If I don't get some water, it will be difficult to finish. All right, so at this point, I like to remain quiet. Thank you for giving me a few moments to get everything set up. And let's see what the cards have to say. So we have death and rebirth right at the center. All right, it's really interesting. We have a few correlations here. I'm going to turn the camera down for a second. We have death and rebirth at the center. We have a corvid, which is basically a crow, also showing death and rebirth or messages from the underworld. We have a relationship, two relationship cards here, Two of Cups and the Lovers. So there was definitely some correlation between the myth that I was talking about and this too. So I do feel like healing an old relationship is going to be really key as we're looking at this today. There is relationship energy. There is new love coming in, but the new love is going to be based on how well you've healed and integrated the old relationship. So I'll get into that in a second. Let's start with the catalyst message. And We have a lovely, I love the color on this one. So we're seeing sort of a combination of blue and green, right? Kind of like turquoise, aquamarine, depending on where you're looking at it in the card. And so throat and heart. And you can actually see Ganesha, Lord Ganesha, who's pictured here, by the way, for those of you that aren't familiar. Lord Ganesha removes obstacles, by the way. But the auric field around Lord Ganesha is green, which is healing, which is, again, love. But pulling the heart energy through the throat, more importantly, is what we're seeing here too. So heart-based communication through the throat, through what you say and through what you write as well. Nowadays, we sort of underestimate the importance of a text message, of a comment in chat, of an email. And I think with this, it's like everything with love, everything with light, and not withholding, expressing, letting things flow, being honest, being candid. Don't sort of hold back. Just say what you need to say it in the highest light, and then move on. I think that's the key thing as well. You don't have to be like a broken record or an echo. Once, let it go, move on, speak your truth, speak your light. And also this works for offering an olive branch. So if you try to say, I love you, to say, I'm sorry, to say, I'd like to talk, to say, let's hang out, whatever it is, texting someone to check in on them and there's silence or there's crickets or it's a curt reply, that's them, that's not you. If you try, that's enough. That really is enough, everyone. You can't control the other person. And if you do that, then it's actually going to, it's not what it's about. So all we have to do in our life is to open up a peaceful, loving field. People can choose to access that or not. And if they're in the lower frequencies, anger, greed, fear, lust, or even sort of like a vendetta or, like I said, a grudge, you can't work. You can maybe soften it a little bit, but that's something they have to work through. You seem to be pretty good, Pisces. You seem to be pretty good. Your energy is really clear here in this. Stay in that energy. And if you're fluctuating a little bit in the highs and lows this month, get back into, I would say, heart chakra and throat chakra. Move the energy between the two. We see a little bit too. I actually went a little lower into the solar plexus. There's a little bit of solar plexus there. So, but it's mostly heart and throat, a little bit of that, because you want to bring up the strength in the message too. So it's kind of the center of your being. This is really where it's coming from. But be candid, but be kind and candid. And I think you'll be okay. Love it. Great message. Upright. So I feel like you're in a good place with that. We'll see how that factors into the cards here. I've said this before, this is probably my favorite depiction of death because it's a portal. There's nothing scary about this. And this is kind of, I've seen different death angels before. One that's taken on more of a human form, one that looks like this, kind of like Azrael, where there's just this hood and that's it. And there's this very high frequency. So speaking of A Christmas Carol, the George C. Scott version got it kind of right, where you hear that high-pitched sound and you just see a hooded being. That's one of the death angels. Another one that I've seen kind of is taller and darker features, but they'll take on any sort of semblance. That's why death is a shapeshifter. Much like I was a big fan of the Sandman series that Neil Gaiman wrote, but I think he had Desire, not Desire. Well, Desire was ambiguous. Dream, I was going to say. Dream was the one that could take on any forms because people's minds would basically conjure up whatever they wanted their dream or nightmare to be. So I like that. I think death has a very similar energy where it's transmuting. It doesn't have a form. What it's showing us is what's possible. Look through the window of the face. Look at the possibilities here. Look at the portal. Look at the Christmas star. Look at the conjunction. That's what's going on here. So we have multiple gateways because there's a lot of change energy around this. So you are right now possibly letting go of one thing and embarking on something else. Keep a positive outlook as you're doing this, because as we said earlier, we don't kind of want this to poison the well. Focus on the good stuff. In this particular deck, if we had all these cups away and there was just a sort of vortex in front of her, it would be the Magician card. It looks a lot like the Magician card in this deck. So put the good stuff in, not the bad stuff. And even in final sort of loose ends that you're tying up this month, everything with beauty, everything with light. Don't leave a sour taste in the soup, in the cup, in whatever you're doing. Make it a beautiful brew. Because otherwise you're going to have a bad taste, and whatever you're leaving behind is going to have a bad taste too, especially if it's sort of like an ex-partner that you're moving away from or something like that. It can even be, like I said, friendships or work experiences or whatever. Just elevate, and it's going to be a lot better. It's always perspective. Everything that you've gotten thus far in your life has brought you to the point where you can create something new. So even the disappointments, even the setbacks, even the things that kind of drive you crazy, it's allowed you to keep what you need and focus a little bit. So some good stuff ahead of you. Just focus on what you're trying to create. And the central message was create, release and create, create and destroy. It's this sort of metamorphosis energy. Okay. For some of you, this month may have brought up this feeling of, how did I get here? Where am I going? Why isn't it happening the way I thought? Why 2020? All of these things. It's normal. It's normal, but you really do want to focus on this beautiful rainbow. It's like, I never looked at it that way, but it's kind of like the gold at the end of the rainbow. And you see the hand gently sort of saying, how about this? Are you looking at this? Have you seen it from this perspective? This person is off in their own world. So if there's someone in your life that won't tune in to what you're trying to say, you can't force them. If you're having difficulty seeing the blessing, look around, be present, push the pause button like I saw in the meditation, and really give yourself a chance to take it all in, because you might find gratitude. And that, as I've said, gratitude can change your attitude or your perception of what's going on. All right, it's time to get back to work, everyone. We've got the Three of Pentacles here. It's reversed, but let's take a look at it upright. This is a really good card for any of you that are doing something with your hands. This could be sculpting, building, repairing. It could also be writing. Of course, this is the card of higher education or education in general. So finish that which you've started and put your time and effort into that completely, and it will be fine. It feels like you've just been a little bit distracted. You've been taken off a little bit, taken off your game a little bit, and you're a little distracted. So this is your chance to really focus and notice how this person's not doing it alone. So you don't have to do this alone, not anymore. So maybe reaching out to trusted people, 2 or 3 is better than 1 sometimes. So get a second set of eyes, ears, or hands to help out with whatever it is that you're doing, depending on the type of work. And I think you're going to have a new perspective and a new ability to make something beautiful happen. Okay, so I like this tapestry that they're building, and yeah, cool stuff here. Okay. Also, I never noticed until now, it's a stoplight, right? This is a very subtle deck on some levels, and then you got to look a couple times. So green. It's kind of off a little bit. The red should be up here, but kind of looks like a stoplight to me. So are you ready to go? If you're ready to go, now is the time. All right, we have the Two of Cups in the crowning position. This card was reversed. The Lover's card is upright. So because this is your crowning card, it feels like to me there's some sort of unraveling because we have death in the middle. So to me, this is a release of a contract, but it's not super tidy, not exactly on the best note. So do what you can to make it better, right? Because even with the breakup, even with friends that have become estranged or family members that can become estranged, there's some love at the core of this. So as you leave, and I think that's fine for some of you that are ready to move on. It could be for any number of reasons. Sometimes it's because you're moving across the world, or you're moving on to something new, or because you found somebody new that you love, or whatever it is. There's so many reasons that we could be going from one contract to another, one love to another, one situation to another. But notice how they're holding hands. At least have a good handshake at the end, because it's so much better. If I think back to college, I had this falling out with a friend, and I went out of my way at the student union before like the last day that I was there. And I sat down with them. I'm like, let's talk. I don't like the way we ended things. And we had some tea. We had a good talk. The person was really happy that I did it, and I was too. And we both took our kind of like accountability for everything. And I never looked back, and neither did they. So like we didn't have any connections after that, but there's no karma. So sometimes if you just say, I'm sorry it happened the way it did, it could have happened better. We both could have done better. Then you can at least shake on it and say, yeah, it was good to know you. and then that's a good thing. So try to end on a good note. I think that's really important here. Any contract in your life, friendship, work, love, real estate, whatever it is, there's so many types of contracts that require connections of two people, and it sometimes gets contentious. So just try to leave it on as good a note as possible. Sometimes people are just not fun to work with, and you got to escape from that. I've been on that road as well. So do your best. Two of Cups is showing on a different note. Are you ready for love? It's knocking on the door. This can just be a readiness card. Two of Cups is great. Death means that this could be past life connection. It can also be one of those relationships that comes into your life that takes your breath away, kicks you on your butt. Like you're like, what's going on? How did this happen? I wasn't expecting this. So get your life together. Finish up everything that you started so that when the new opportunity comes in, you can take that hand and say, yes, I'm ready. Okay. Knight of Swords. Catch-up time, right? And this particular Knight of Swords is either in a hurry to get where he's going or he's trying to catch up to his moped here. But it feels like he's trying to make up for lost time whenever I look at this card. I kind of like that he has, reminds me of the Hunger Games here. He has his archery thing on his back here, the bow and arrow. So, and we also see the corvid or the crow up there in the sky, raven or the crow. So 2 or 3 things that I'm seeing here. Time is going to possibly get away from you a little bit in January. So set your priorities, look at your schedule, be flexible in it, and also be kind of aggressive in what you're trying to get done so that you can get ahead of things. You want to focus on communication, and you probably want to send that communication out before you get started. So letting people know ahead of time what your plans are, what your ideas are, so that they can adjust, so that they can give their feedback. That's going to be really key. Anything is possible if you give enough advance notice. And then by the time you get started, get to your chariot, things are going to be okay. All right. So be ready to start to hit the ground running, as we see with this Knight, but that's going to require a little bit of advanced reaching out and planning. And then once you get there, having done the legwork, you'll be okay. Emperor card. As I said earlier, Emperor, Empress. Let's just imagine that this is more of an Aquarian emperor where he can connect with both his divine masculine and feminine. I like that he's the strategist, right? He's holding a chess piece there. And I think that this is sort of your time to figure out not just what the quick and easy, by the way, he also has like an ankh on his hand. I hadn't seen that before. Not just to figure out the quick and easy win that you're in right now, but what's the long-term game that you're playing? What's the long-term goal? The more that you can look into the future, the more that you can start to open up all of the opportunities right here and right now. It's interesting when I look at him, it almost looks like he's sitting on a planet too, more like Mars to me. But anyway, I would say for you, just be willing to fight for whatever it is that you want to do. Work hard, and remember what I said with the Empress energy that I picked up on. Focus on nurturing as well. You reap what you sow, and so sow those seeds of love and change and hope and growth so that you can do something cool with them, right? Yay for this in the environment. This is a fantastic card no matter how you look at it. I also really love that we see a Merkaba right there in the center, which is really cool. Every time I look at these illustrations, I see new things. So in your environment, this is showing that your energy is very attractive. So you could be pulling in new types of relationships that you haven't experienced before, deeper relationships. It's cool that we see the lower chakras illustrated here, because this is the color of safety and expression, and those are also parts of your divinity, being able to truly express yourself. So your sexual chakra and your creative chakra, it's kind of the same. So do what you really feel a passion for this month, and that's going to pull in great people in your life. I've been talking about that a lot. I think I talked about it yesterday in Aquarius and at least a couple times this month. So work your passion, and you're going to pull in some really great partnerships. And if you've been looking for love, it looks like it might be coming through this month. The energy associated, like right under, this is you, this is your ego. So you have to be sort of open to receiving. This is not a very active card, so I do feel like the key thing here is to set the openness and then maybe just to make sure that you're in the right place at the right time. The kind of energy that seems to be coming towards you is a little bit younger. We have the Knight of Swords, depending on your age. But when I see this, I do see someone that would probably come towards you and express interest if you're single and looking. If you are in a relationship, what we're seeing here is a need to balance out the scales a little bit. Are you getting what you need? Are you communicating the way you need to? Because we have one swords card, but there could be a little bit more based on all the cups that I'm seeing here. So a little bit more communication, making sure that it's reciprocated, everything's reciprocated. I definitely see in existing relationships that there might be a strong physical connection, but is everything else syncing? Make sure that you're talking enough, make sure you're connecting on all levels. If you're single and happy, like I said, just use this to attract the kind of opportunities that you want. Get out there. Obviously, getting out there now could be virtually, but make sure that you're virtually networking, that you're checking in with people, and that once you've integrated what we were talking about, the self-love is going to, of course, create the lovers in your environment. Because as you love yourself, other people are going to think, I like that. Whatever that person's doing, I'll take some of that too, because it sounds great. So love yourself, people will love you. And whether or not you're in a relationship or not, you're just going to get a better sort of tribe of energy around you. We have the moon card, but it's upright. So I don't always read the moon as it's not bad or good. In this one, what I'm seeing here is reflection, a need for you to kind of like get away from things. And what you might be getting away from is the sort of right or wrong or territorial energy. Or again, what I was talking about earlier, sometimes you just can't quite get through to somebody. And so if there could just be an ocean of stuff that they're dealing with, so give them their space. And that's what we see between these two, between the wolf and the dog, is just a lot of space. Let this person sort it out. They're in a reflective mode. It actually has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with what they need to kind of process. So give yourself permission to just let it go. And I think that'll help you out quite a bit. Again, it's a highly sensual card. It's a highly intuitive card. So you may find that you are feeling much more sensitivity around people. Your empathy is going to be off the charts. You might also be connecting with your higher self and receiving more sort of downloads in this period. So get a little bit more sleep and take care of yourself, okay? I like the final card. We have the High Priestess. She's reversed, but she's still powerful in any alignment, whether she's sideways, upside down, or right side up. Doesn't matter. It's one of the most powerful cards. With the reversal of the High Priestess, it's just saying listen to your inner guidance. Don't second guess it. And also don't block out what wants to come through to you. Sometimes there's a fear of what you might see or might receive. So I think it's important for you to really kind of, here's the way that I kind of open the channel. I think what you could do is just really set an expectation to receive love, light, and guidance of the highest kind. And see yourself surrounded in that light and just start to pick up on what you pick up on and write it down. That's what it was like an hour and a half. There's a lot of messages this morning and I had to rewrite a few of them. But as I sit here in the morning, that's what I do. I light some candles, I meditate, and I receive guidance of the highest kind. If you do that, you're going to be in the right direction now and always. So just start to connect, plug in. Take that Ethernet cord and plug it into the sky and then plug the other side into yourself so that you can really receive the downloads, okay? I think you'll be all right. There could also be someone in your midst that is a little tricky. The combination of these two cards can be a tricky person. So this is somebody that knows how to navigate systems and people. And but the thing is, you're going to see through it because the High Priestess is here. So if you're in the midst of somebody that thinks they can pull the wool over your eyes or can do something, just be strong, anticipate the next move, and make sure that doesn't happen. Speak up. The main thing when that happens is to speak up and say, this doesn't work with me. Let's get back to work. Let's get back to business. Okay. But overall, I really like this. I definitely see some of you opening up with creativity and with intuitive channeling this month. So if that's something you're looking forward to or want to do more of, then good, because it's coming through. Let's expand the forecast. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. In love, I'll go a little deeper when we get to that, so don't worry about that. All right, so I love that we got the Lotus for health. It says enlightenment is the main sort of energy on this, and no mud, no lotus. This is, I never thought of that phrase. So you actually need to go through some of the junk in your life. No mud, no lotus. That's true. You need something to ground you. You need to also go through the murky elements. These lotus blossoms, the lilies, basically they grow in murky water, don't they? Ponds, kind of stagnant. But from that stagnation, from that death and rebirth energy comes this beautiful flower, the lotus, right? So I feel like 2020 was totally the murky pond, wasn't it? And I feel like the important thing is for us to reach high and blossom in 2021, okay? So get through the pond scum of this past year and focus on opening up. And this is definitely talking about crown chakra. That's the 1,000-petal lotus or whatever. So you're opening up, you're going to receive more energy and information. Let's look a little bit about other health messages. By the way, since this is very much focused on the crown, it might be important for you to focus on mental health. So if you're in a place where you're feeling depressed, or if you're feeling like you're unable to kind of process things, then I think that this is a really good time to talk to other people. Mental health is just as important, if not more important, than your physical health, because it affects all of that. Looking at some other things here, some of you could have had a close call, a close brush, a wake-up call, right? So the death and rebirth energy could be that something happened and you just think, all right, I'm going to take it seriously now, whatever it is. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can to stay healthy. You could have lost somebody. You could have had a sort of wake-up call in your own health. But the cool thing on this one is it's rebirth and it's a new cycle, the infinity sign there. The other thing that's coming through here, I've been getting the moon a lot. This can just be emotional state of being. It can also be reproductive system. Feels like a lot of people might be trying to sort out starting a family. There could also be some of you that could be dealing with things in, as I said before, it can be sort of like urinary tract usually, maybe digestion, but usually it's urinary tract or reproductive system. So just take a look at that. If you haven't seen your doctor for a physical, this would be a good time to do that. Nothing really bad that's coming through in all of this. I think that it's just a chance to reset and to do a little bit better when it comes to overall health. And expansion of your mind is coming through really strong. It's not a health message, but it's about your body and it's about your brain. And this is about knowledge expansion. So I think if you're ready for that, this is a good time to, if you're a student right now, finish what you started and really do a great job with that. Okay, looking at wealth. Do the work. Yeah. We're like, yeah, we know. But this is showing that work will really pay off. So if there's anything that you want to do and you're feeling uninspired, I feel for a lot of students right now, because I think that it doesn't matter what age you are. If you were like a college freshman, or if you're a college senior, or if you're a high school senior, or wherever you're at, or if you're even a younger kid trying to Zoom. I remember when I was like in the second grade, I really didn't understand homework. I couldn't even imagine trying to look at a teacher on a computer and figure out homework or what was going on. So I get it. It's tough. But with these two cards, for those of you that are a little bit older, not the younger ones, you got to push through it because there's a rainbow at the other end of this. So finish up what you've started. For the rest of us, it could just be figuring out, like, I'm not happy with this type of work, with what I'm doing now. I'm going to push through and show up and try to open up something new. Maybe I'll go back to school. Maybe I'll repackage something that I know I've talked a lot about in 2020, but it seems like there's a lot of resistance. Sometimes when this goes on replay, I'll read the comments and people will complain about age, for instance, like I'm too old or whatever. We have to kind of look around. The age is a number. Limitations are there if you put them on yourselves. So I would say, try to look at how you can make it happen, because you can. Another way, instead of do the work, and it probably would have been a nicer message, is you can make it happen, but you have to do the work. So that's kind of the whole message, if we were to add a little piece to that as well. There were no Pentacles cards, much like yesterday when I was reading for, there's one, but no sort of like other work related ones. So it's really more about the work you're doing on yourself. This is a recognition card, however, not as illustrated, but it is. So are you doing what you need to do to be seen, to talk about what you're doing. So for those of you, unfortunately, it's the way it works sometimes in a corporate environment. It's just about getting the visibility. Also, teamwork is ever so important right now. So as you start to partner up with people that you normally wouldn't partner up with, and you do a good job, that's also going to help you quite a bit. So who you know, who you work with, how you network, how you solve problems. And that's why we were talking about trying to like make peace or extend the olive branch. That's going to help so much in your future endeavors and possibly your future growth if you decide to stay where you're at. If you are retired, what we're seeing here is a desire to maybe do something for the benefit of the community. 3 of Pentacles, 2 of Cups, and the Lover's card. So there could be that as well. All right. The good news is I'm not seeing anything falling away. I think that some of you have to restart. It might have already fallen away because of, furloughs, layoffs, or just the company closed, possibly, because that's happened a lot here in LA. I just see a lot of empty buildings now. So this is really about what's next. And it may be much different than what you're doing now. Don't be afraid to completely hit the reset switch. Because if we were in a quote unquote normal cycle, then you would be without a doubt sort of stuck on that same journey. So now you get the blessing, the secret opportunity to try something, just because no one will judge you. If you say, I'm doing this, well, my old job's gone, I'm going to try this. Okay, good. Hope you do a good job at that. No one's going to have the same judgment as if it was a quote unquote normal economy or normal world right now. So embrace the weirdness and know that as 2021 comes through, we'll start to see healing and rebuilding. It's the following year where there's the blast off. You want to make sure you're on that spaceship and ready to go when that happens. Okay, that's wealth. Let's look at love. Express your creativity. Express yourself as well. Thank you, angels, for helping me express my inner creator. Card is reversed, but this is still an expression card. A lot of what we see here is in the same energy as Ganesha, right? So positive expression. There could be something going on where there's a difference of vision on what you want the relationship to be, because we're looking at love. And again, love to me can be family, friendship, or a deeper sort of romantic love. So maybe you've just grown apart, which is fine, but express what your interest is, what your love is, and kind of just keep the communication open. We see beautiful, it's kind of like turquoise, blue. This is a little bit more aqua. This one has a little bit more turquoise, but we have a lot of, this is much more heart-centric. This is much more throat-centric. So I would say for you that the main thing is to speak clearly and express yourself and make it about personal growth. One of the best ways to move on is to say, I'm ready to do this. It's going to allow me to get to the next level. I've learned a lot and I'm ready for the next step. Never make it about the other person. Don't project out if that's kind of where you're ready to move on. If you're in a relationship and you need more recognition, or if you want to do something, want to go back to school or something, just talk about what your vision is and hopefully allow your partners to say, I just need you to listen. I just need you to support me. That's all. You don't have to agree with me. I just would love the support. Hopefully they do though. And I think they will if you set it up in the right way. So it feels like in relationships, you need to do something for yourself. Some of you need to step away from a relationship. And the most important thing is that communication needs to flow more freely. All right. As we look at destiny, we basically have another death card. So it's a very interesting creature, isn't it? Corvid, a crow, basically showing you the connection from the living and the dead. So we are kind of in that nexus as we go between the 31st and the 1st, December 31st, January 1st. And I think for you, as we look at this, I do notice that it's clutching to the past. And I think one of the key messages as we look at this Corvid card is to let go or gain the knowledge that we need from that and then move through to the next thing, become something else. So we have death and rebirth twice. So there may be 2 pivotal changes. This one is reversed. So if we were to look at a traditional death card reversed, it would be about breaking stagnation. This one we could just read as rebirth, which is actually a new beginning. So for some of you, there's 2 things that you got to kind of like deal with. There's one thing that you're holding on to a little bit. If you're not seeing growth or movement in it, then that's going to be all you need to hear to know that it's time to move on. Okay. All right, let's review what we talked about, and then we're going to go a little deeper into the soul path. I'll take a look deeper into the energy of change, of metamorphosis, of death and rebirth. I want to look at the relationships a little bit, to be frank, and then we'll see if there's maybe a message again about work, since those are the things that kind of are hitting my head. All righty, let's take a look here. So for everyone that just joined, this is the perfect time because you're going to get a review of everything that we talked about, and then we'll go deeper. All right, so the last big conjunction here, the last great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter was in 1623. It's been a long time. Take some time today, if you can, if you're watching the live, to enjoy it. If you're watching this in January, don't worry. The energies of those planets are still relevant, and I've kind of mixed them into the reading today. When I was tuning into Saturn, it was metamorphosis, and it totally came through. We saw death, and we saw the Corvid here showing messages also. Some of you might be receiving messages from the beyond, because to me, this is a spirit guide as well. An owl or a raven or a crow, they're basically connections to the spirit side. So you might be receiving in dreams and meditation. Maybe even if you can, I have some friends that kind of are more nature-based, and they can tap into the energy of birds and animals, so they can kind of hear the thoughts. So maybe that's something that's opening up for you as well. But listen to your higher self. You're definitely getting messages about change and for change. Forgiveness is the thing that I picked up when I was meditating and having a little conversation there with Saturn. Love yourself unconditionally. Forgive yourself as well. If you can extend that olive branch to others, do it. Don't hold on to a grudge. Not at the end of this year. We got to let it go. Let it all go. Let love and let love and let be. Let it all go. It's better. Set a course, complete it. Otherwise, Saturn's going to come and kick you a little bit and say, come on, push back all obstacles and make it happen. Make it work, as was his name, Tim Gunn or something. But yes, just make it work, make it happen. You can do it. This is the time to find your inner empress or emperor and really own that authority. As a cosmic gardener, you reap what you sow. So what are you trying to create? What are you trying to pull into this next year? Super important. We've got the Lotus card here saying that that's kind of like a major satellite dish broadcasting. So make sure that your broadcast signal is clear and clean, and that if there's anything that you don't want to take with you, it's already gone. Jupiter is going to act as a megaphone and an amplifier. So expansion. You should expand in work. You should expand in love. And you should expand your intuition. All of those things came through. And that's Jupiter helping you out. Jupiter is very beneficial. But let the old garbage, the cobwebs, the grudge, all that other stuff, let it go. Heal it so that as you're broadcasting, that's not static in your waves. Focusing on the solstice, whether you're in the winter or the summer solstice, it's a new cycle. The change of light gives you a visible shift in frequency that you can see, but you're going to also pick up on those frequency changes in your own life. For those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, it's really just saying, be hopeful. For those in the Southern, it's saying, be grateful for the light that you do have and keep enjoying this time. Deeper and more substantial relationships are knocking at your soul's door. They're right here. I can see them as well. The next person you may see coming as well, if you're super intuitive, past life connection for sure. How deeply do you love yourself? How highly do you regard yourself? This is going to affect your self-esteem. It's also going to affect your self-worth. Depending on how you feel about yourself, it's going to mold the type of person and people that you pull in the year ahead. So try to make it as positive as possible. To that end, recognize your flaws, but don't accentuate or focus on them. Don't come in and talk about like, oh, does this make me look terrible if you're talking about an outfit? Don't even mention that. Just go in and smile and do your best. Or if you're worried about how you're speaking, again, don't. Just put your best foot forward, as we saw with this Knight of Swords. Once you do that and expect the best, then you start to call in the best. People will see the potential rather than whatever you think is getting in the way. You can and you will do it. Slow down, hit the pause button, enjoy each and every moment. spending it with your loved ones, with your pets, with your children, doing something that you love. You can always do that meeting tomorrow. You can always, put something off that doesn't require immediate attention. Get your priorities straight. Make time for what matters. Imagine that you are with your guides in life review and today was your last day on the planet. Would you regret missing something that was small, or would you regret missing something that was big? You've got to kind of get those goals and priorities in order. Stay awake, don't sleepwalk, and most importantly, you have what you need. Trust yourself. Don't look back. Don't look back on mistakes. Don't look back on the past. Don't doubt yourself, because you don't want the doubt to make things evaporate like it did for Orpheus. Okay. Be candid, but there's a kindness in this particular Lord Ganesha card, the same way we saw it here. Both of these cards are opening up clear communication channels. This one is a little bit more based in the heart, though, a lot more green than this one, which is more blue. Ends and beginnings. When you are candid, be careful. It could actually end something. So if you're ready to kind of follow your bluff, then perfect. Focus on the positive again. Only put the good stuff in this future recipe, whatever you're creating. There's some sort of a hidden blessing. There's something better on the horizon. Someone's maybe even trying to open up or offer something to you, but are you ready to see it? Are you ready to receive it? That hand is coming in and saying, I'm here. Are you ready? Overdue recognition for some of you, but a need also to just focus on doing the best possible output that you can. And also maybe some of you have been kind of going through the stoplight, start and go, start and go. This is a time to basically go, okay? It's time to go and finish what you've started. Reciprocity, balance, and mutual affection is important in all relationships. A little bit of a catching up period for some of you to do. Get the message out first, follow through. You can do this. Be ready to receive love and abundance, because we have abundance here, we have love here. Focus on giving people space if they don't want to talk, if they don't want to connect. Some of them are really just dealing with a lot, so don't push it. And then the High Priestess. Some of you already see some of the changes happening in your life, so really listen to your higher self. If there's someone in your life that's trying to manipulate or pull the wool over your eyes, just get a step ahead of them and say, also, this doesn't work for me. We have the Lotus coming through in health, which is saying expansion in knowledge. And some of you might just have like a lot going on in your headspace. So do what you can to clear it, to kind of keep it active. And again, with the High Priestess and the Lotus, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of beautiful energy comes through in the form of intuition. Same thing with the Corvid. Do the work that you need to do. Trust that it will get observed. If it doesn't, it might be time to move on. And I actually see success. Someone else would be happy to have you in their life in whatever shape or form, especially since we're looking at wealth. So you could find a better opportunity for working or developing yourself. With the Emperor card, maybe working for yourself. Even if people around you are intuitive, they shouldn't have to use their intuition to figure out what's going on. So use your throat chakra and talk to them. Also walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So expressing yourself can be multiple ways. Some of you just want to do something cool for yourself that makes you happy. Is your partner supporting you, or your friends supporting you, or your family supporting you? If not, it's okay. Spread your wings. Do what you got to do. And then we have the Corvid here. Messages from beyond, messages from your higher self. Listen. All right. Let's go ahead into the soul space, and then we'll move into the meditation after that. So we're going to look at the change message first. I want to look, since we've got death a couple of times here in different forms, what's the message about transformation that Pisces needs to hear right now? We have the Two of Wands, and it's reversed. And for a lot of us, this is cabin fever, isn't it? Look at this Two of Wands being inside. What an appropriate card for this year. So as we're looking at 2021, it's making plans, even when some of our plans have been delayed, but you never stop making the plans. And if you look at the little paper here, she's got like a van, right? So it's making future plans, even with with the hope and the understanding and the trust that they will come to fruition. So I see that this is, I know eventually we're going to be okay. So I have to do this. I have to keep working. We can't give up hope. So she has hope. She's a little bored, but she's going to keep working at what she needs to work on. So I like this Two of Wands because it's still focusing on the positive. It's the Lotus card is in, I think this is the name of it. Someone asked, that's the name of the deck. So, okay, let's take a look at this. So we were looking at death. Now let's take a look at, I wanted to look at relationships, since there's a lot of love cards. So Two of Cups, lovers, what do we need to know about that? King of Wands in reverse. Okay, so it's interesting here. We have two really strong cards here. So you may have met your match. The King of Wands reverse is definitely as strong, I think, as the Emperor. King and Queen of Wands are very stubborn, very headstrong energies. And you may have met someone that you have a lot in common with, but has a very specific way of doing things, right? So I think that the important thing for you will be to look at new relationships that are coming in. This could also be your past partner. It's either your old partner or your new partner. They can be difficult to talk to. They may not listen to you all the time. So make sure that communication is being received in the way that it was supposed to be. I know that I've had situations happen where it's like, how did that get interpreted that way? That's not what I meant. So sometimes picking up the phone is a lot better than texting or email or messaging or face-to-face or FaceTime, since we're trying to do social distancing. But getting the nonverbal cues will be very, very helpful in sorting this out. Keep an open mind. Whomever is coming into your life may kind of push you out of your comfort zone. And so the King of Wands is kind of saying, no, you really need to look at it from this point of view. So maybe take a look at it, entertain that point of view. Okay. Stand your ground though. These are strong cards. If there's something you care about, if there's a creative thing that you want to try, if there's something that you need to do, these are strength cards. So if we look at this is really knowing who you are, knowing what you want to do. And this is bringing that into action and not letting people push you around. So there's nothing wrong with the King of Wands, even reverse. It's like King or Queen of Swords reverse. It's just very direct. So just make sure that there's not something in the communication that gets missed. Because when someone already thinks they know what's been said, when the other person may try to communicate it, they're still focusing on something. It can be like a broken record, or it's like their ears are clogged up. So try a different way of communicating with them. All right, Five of Pentacles. So with the Five of Pentacles, this really goes into, this is the wild card. I always pull one just to see what we need to focus on next. This is the self-worth that I talked about when I was writing index cards earlier. Notice this is my favorite Five of Pentacles because it's not about anybody else. The key's right there. This person is maybe not ready. We were talking earlier about the emotional state that you might be in, or the other person around you might be in. So if it's you, this is really about finding a way to see the light. It's shining down here. It's illustrating this key, which also could kind of be this sort of hidden hand saying, hey, this is the key. This is what you're looking for. So I feel like a solution's in front of you. Look harder, look differently, look in a different way, open yourself up, and don't feel like you're being punished. Don't feel like you did something wrong. Don't feel like the world is doing something against you. Feel like you're being pushed to try something different by that guiding and loving hand of the universe, or of Jupiter and Saturn, since they were helping us today. So I think that's it. And you have the key to your own success, your own happiness. You've always held that key. So grab it, open the door, let's see what's there. And that's what we're going to do in the meditation. We're going to open the door into the unknown. So let's do it. And it's not going to be scary. It's going to be fun. All right, before I get into the meditation, a reminder, as I said earlier, just in case you joined me late, I'm going to do a live New Year's Eve reading. So I'd love for you to join me on New Year's Eve. I think I have the link here. So I'm going to put the link to this so you know when it's happening. So there you go. It'll be on December 31st at 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's the link if you want to set a reminder. And I'll put that up later today, and you'll be able to see that on the coming soon. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do that. It helps other people discover the cool content here. And I'd love for you to do it. All right, let's get into the meditation. And then at the end, I'll pull an extra card to see if there's something like a bonus card for what else is coming through. Maybe just a wild card for 2021 to get us on the right path, since this has been a tricky year. So this will usually be about 2 minutes. I know we're close to the end, but I'm going to make time for all of this. I knew that today's would be a little bit longer with the conjunction and all the stuff that was coming through. But I actually think you're lucky, Pisces, because by the end of the month, there's a lot of, my third eye's been warmed up and I enjoy doing this. So it's a good time. It's a good time to have the reading. Okay, so close your eyes and imagine that you are in a library. I don't think we've ever done a library meditation. So this is the Akashic Library. And we're going to open the door to your files, to your future, to your path. And for some of you, you might be able to access it and read stuff. For some of you, you can just visualize with me what you need to know, what you need to do, okay? So in my book, I talked about Akasha as a sea, but it's really kind of like a cosmic library. But you can access it any way you want to. So just imagine that you are in this beautiful library. As I close my eyes, I see it's more massive than any Earth library you could ever imagine. It's a sky library. That's literally what it kind of means. So imagine that as you look up, as you look down, as you look to the right and left, you just see corridors upon corridors upon corridors. You're on one level, and there's this beautiful sort of wooden structure that's kind of a platform that you're on. And I want you to walk down to the end of the hallway. There's one door that's lighting up. And in your hand, you're holding a key, just like we saw in the Five of Pentacles here in the corner. So imagine you have this big skeleton key in your hand, and you see this beautiful archway, kind of like sealed with light. And even the lock itself, there's this sort of light coming out of it. So you can tell that whatever's on the other side is good. It's beautiful, it's bright, it's brilliant. Close your eyes for a second and ask the question that you want to have answered. What are you trying to discover about yourself? What do you want to see? What do you want to create? Look at the key and say, I'm ready to open that door. I'm ready to receive what's coming. My recognition, the opportunity, the message that I need to improve, whatever it is you're trying to create. And as I play the singing bowl, I want you to imagine that you're, we'll go a step further. Let's open the door. So put the key in the lock, and I want you to feel this sort of energetic connection to the door. All of a sudden, light comes through your hand and through your body, and you actually travel through the keyhole into the room in front of you. And it is filled with light, the brightest light you can imagine. And as you're looking around, you're starting to see things that you need. For some of you, it might come through like a movie. Some of you might have your book of life. And for some of you, you might see something that you want to go after. There's a new doorway, there's a new opportunity. So walk towards whatever your symbol is, whatever it is for you. I don't want to color it too much because each of you will have a different experience. I'm going to play the singing bowl for a moment. And I want you to really take in the one message that you need, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, take a deep breath and look at whatever's in front of you, the book, the vision, the message, and take the key, which you're still holding on to, even though you kind of slid through the keyhole. And I want you to take the key and place it on your heart, place your left hand on top of that. Allow that key to melt into your heart space so that anytime you need to access what your purpose is, you can just go into your heart. You can say, what should I do? Your heart will speak to you, since we saw so much energy from Ganesha around that. So know that you have the key to your success, that you've opened up a doorway to opportunity. All that's required now is that you listen to the guidance that comes through. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. And let's pull a final card, and then we'll wrap up. Last sign-specific reading of the year. Okay. Ace of Wands. It's a time for new ideas. So I really think it's important for you to follow your heart. Notice how we have like this fiery energy right in the third eye, right? So create, see, live, work your passion, work your vision, and some great stuff is coming through for you. Okay. Thank you so much. Beautiful reading today. Beautiful day today. Lots of energy flowing through, lots of positive energy flowing through today. No matter what path you're headed on, what's coming through after this, I feel like blessings abound, right? And this should kind of set us into a really good energy for the holiday season. Whether it's New Year's, if you're watching it after January, or it's Hanukkah, Christmas, and Kwanzaa, and all the things that are at the end of December. All right, so if you haven't already hit like and subscribe, please do that. It's easy, it's free, it helps a lot. For those of you that are I've noticed a lot of super chats today. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It really does help, and it helps me continue to get all of these decks. So like I said, I'll do some Christmas shopping thanks to you, and update some of my tarot decks for next year, because I've done a lot with my Oracle decks, but I want to get some new tarot ones for next year. If you happen to be watching this on replay, you can use the applaud feature. It works on desktop and Android, not iOS yet. I think that's coming in February. If you'd like to join the channel, you can just click the join button. It's a great way to give back on a monthly basis. I pinned a comment at the beginning from my website. So all the stuff that I'm going to talk about moving forward is on that pinned comment. So you can just go there if you need to. If you would like to follow me on social media, I'd love to have you. I use Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the story feature. I also use the story feature in Twitter, but I have a slightly different handle there. It's at @Ashbaugh, but again, you can just go to my website for social media links. But on these two, I will actually put links that will allow you to go into the video, which is helpful. On YouTube, I also use the community tab to post pictures of the note cards, and I do that also on Instagram and Facebook. TikTok, I'll figure out in the new year, but you can join me. So while I'm starting to grow that a little bit, you'll be a part of that. Goodreads is great for my book, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Patreon is a nice way to give back if you want to in a smaller way, like just $1 a month. It's a great way to show support for the channel. And here's my PayPal link. It's just, again, Nicholas Ashbaugh. So before I talk about the book, I'll paste a couple links for you so you have them. So one more time, if you want to follow me on social media, there you go. If you want to follow me on, or if you want to join me on Patreon, you can do it there. And I know some of you prefer to use PayPal, so here's PayPal. I'm going to talk more about my book now, so I'll give you that link as well. So in October, I released my book. It's called The Luminous Ones. And for those of you that enjoy sci-fi and fantasy, I think you would like this. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings, A Wrinkle in Time, but written from the perspective of an intuitive. So a lot of what you see and hear is actually kind of instructive on how to deal with energy of shadow and light, which we all have to. And it's available on most major retailers like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, some international brands like Blackwell's and Waterstones, and a bunch of others. So you can follow that link and see this page and see if it makes sense for you. That is everything. That is a wrap for this, for the readings in 2020. But again, this is for January 2021. I'll be back again on New Year's Eve. And then next month, we'll be tackling the February readings, believe it or not. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday season, a wonderful new year. I want to thank everybody for showing up and working on themselves. Thanks for my moderators for being here all year long and making this a great experience for all of you. And I wish you all the best now and always, okay? Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and have a really wonderful end of 2020 and beginning of 2021. Take care, everyone. Lots of love and light.